Good afternoon, everybody out there in YouTube land. Just wanted to bring you guys a quick video comparison of the Traxxas XRT versus the Redcat. And this is the 4S version. I guess they have a 6S version as well. This is the Gen 2 Machete. I don't own this one. This one is one of mine, just because I'm not able to carry the Traxxas products at this time. This is the 4S version that I've been waiting on to start carrying in my store, just so people could kind of see, you know, what $400 looks like versus $1,100. Just wanted to do this so you guys could kind of get a on video view. I don't know if anyone's done the side-by-sides. This guy is probably, if I had to do a guesstimate on size, this truck is roughly 18.5 inches wide, whereas the XRT is roughly 23.25 wide, and this is stock. There's been no modifications to this. Lengthwise, from tip to tip looks like about 27 inches here, and tip to tip is 31 here. And this, I believe, was kind of meant to be competition of this guy, but yet a little more affordable. And I'll get into some of the aspects of the vehicles themselves, differences. But overall, it looks like a pretty comparable vehicle. Obviously, again, size is going to be what gives you guys the insight as to which one's going to be, you know, runnable in the area you have to run them in. And here's kind of your height difference here. This truck, from what I can just see, I haven't popped the body off this yet, looks like a metal plate chassis with some ribs run down it for rigidity, what I would assume. It has a wheelie bar like the XRT, has a wing like the XRT. This one has body pins though, whereas the XRT, the Traxxas, have the little tabs underneath the body, which is kind of cool. I wish they went with that with more of the RC vehicles. That's kind of nice to see. But anyway, 17 millimeter it looks like wheel sizes, so you can throw the Outcast or the XRT wheels on this, which might give you a little better offset, make it a little wider. Shocks, this guy's got something that's comparable to potentially the Arma style shocks, and I'll show you that in a minute as well. The body is Lexan. Ooh, it's got some nice dirt protectors underneath the body. Weight wise, no comparison. This thing is way heavier than the Machete, which is good or bad depending if you're out running in the field and your batteries die. Which one would you rather carry back? Sounds like they're both Mod 1. This one sounds like it's got an open diff. So let's pop our bodies off and see. Again, body clips to me and a basher, it doesn't really matter. The nice thing is they're cabled down, and they also have a little protector that's in line, which is kind of cool. Don't know if you can see that or not. But that goes over your body post, and then your body clip goes through your body post as well. So it keeps it all kind of attached. Let me give you guys kind of a close-up of that. So there you go. You can kind of see what I'm talking about there. Pretty simple design. Again, being a basher, I don't really care how fancy my body mounts. I'm not trying to, you know, do anything overly fancy with it, and that's where these could be a disadvantage, because if these get bent in a crash, the plastic, and they just don't want to come back, then we've all seen the videos of the X-Max bodies just flying off. This has plastic guards on the nose here, on the roof, like the XRT. Not quite the full cage that the XRT has, which I kind of dig this. This has the dual vents, whereas this body isn't vented at all. So who knows if that might be a necessity to do down the line or not. But here's your chassis pan. So they went with an XT90 on this. That's kind of nice to see them updating the plugs. I've been kind of leaning away from the old Dean style plugs, and the XT60s and XT90s have been way I've gone with a lot of my RC vehicles, just because more than anything else they go together really nice, they come apart really easy, and I don't have to fight them. Here is your wheelie bar. And again, it's mounted a little more rigidly than the XRTs, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. You know, the XRT is having a little bit of give. That's something that could help you out, or it could, you know, be a fallback to where it doesn't do what you're trying to do with it and just fold away. Landing hard on that, I think, would be a drawback. But look how well that wing is mounted, which could be a drawback. It might not be. I don't know. Depends on how you take care of your vehicles and how you bash them. Again, here's your shocks. Look at that upper tie rod. Wow, that's pretty slick. I dig that. It's got a center chassis brace that looks like it's mounted to the front and rear bulkheads and the transmission. So you've got it pretty nice there. It looks like it'll keep it fairly rigid. Oh wow, big red aluminum drive shaft down the middle. I would assume aluminum. Oh, and your transmission is enclosed. So you don't have to worry about dirt and rocks getting in there and screwing up your gears. So that's kind of nice. And there's a shot of the back of it there. So that's kind of cool. It has 2 battery trays in it. Now look at this, these high sides. This is going to keep a lot of stuff out of your chassis. And it's got holes in it for drainage in the back, which is kind of funny. So that way there, when you get water and mud in there, it'll let some of it out at least. And then there's a shot of your chassis pan, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the Traxxas set up a million times over. It's got a motor heat sink on it with a fan. The fan looks kind of small though. I don't know how much I think that, unless that's a high output fan, which if it's a high output fan, that's going to move air really well. If it's not, then you might want to think of a way to mount a bigger fan to this, because I'm sure it's going to get pretty warm unless you're running this somewhere where it's not as hot as can be in Michigan. There's your front bumper and support. So it looks like it's going to be pretty rigid there. Give you a little bit of bounce back. It's kind of, now I want to say honeycombed. It's not honeycombed, but it's ribbed, so it's not a solid piece of plastic that'll break if you take a really hard impact, and it does go all the way through to the skid plate. You've got front and rear sway bars on here. That's kind of interesting. I like that. I like the plastic upper control arm pieces, and they are mounted left and right, so that way there, when you have to order new parts, because you took a hit on this thing, and let's be real, we all run our stuff into things we shouldn't. It's labeled. Rear bulkhead brace, front bulkhead brace, I like that. It's got a serial number in there. Looks like your internal servo saver is pretty good sized. And if I'm guessing, I see, looks like a 10th scale, maybe a 10th scale servo, I don't know, you guys tell me. You can look up the specs at redcat.com, redcatracing.com, sorry. But that's a pretty interesting servo. It doesn't look 5th scale, and it doesn't look 10th scale, but maybe it is, who knows. Sounds like it's a pretty good servo. If I'm gonna assume, metal gears. No, sounds like it's got an internal servo saver, which is nice. Oh yeah. Oh nice. They've even got the gearbox enclosed. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a rubber seal over your gearbox. I don't know. Working with GoPros everything's backwards. It's got a rubber cover over it, so maybe your front links and stuff like that are all enclosed, so that'll keep mud and trash out of there, because the now discontinued shredder was a 4S truck, and that was about the same size. I want to say it was bigger. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments below. Do you think the 4S shredder was bigger than the 4S Machete? I would definitely be curious to see if that's the case or not. ESC, that looks like an awfully small ESC. I don't know what amp output it is. You guys would have to do some research on that one if you wanted to know. Otherwise, you could very easily make this thing 6 or 8S with a nice, it looks like a potential for a rebranded hobby wing though, which I'm not mad about that. So I don't know, you guys tell me. Now let me break out the XRT and we'll go over some of the same features. So the removable body clip thing is really cool in theory, as long as it stays on. If it stays on and these hooks work forever, then no issue obviously at all. The internal cage, you have that on the XRT. You don't have that on the Machete. Looks like you do have some plastic components that do transfer through. But again, it all depends on your driving. You could get this out and truggy race this thing. It's about the size, a little bit bigger. Yeah, a little bit bigger, longer wise, maybe than an A-scale truggy. I'm not real sure. Again, in the comments, let me know if you think this guy's closer to A-scale than 6 scale. I don't really know what scale this is, now that I think about it. So, all right. And I've got the special edition black XRT that I got by accident when I went shopping at another hobby shop. So my XRT has obviously pretty much the stock internals as far as servo goes, motor, the fans up here that buzz and make a god-awful noise because I think one of the blades is chipped. But shocks-wise, I'd say circumference, these are pretty close. Shock shafts look to be close to one another. I'd say they're comparable. Steering bell crank. This is obviously going to be a lot beefier just because it's a bigger overall truck. I like that they're both threaded. These are aluminum bodied. These are aluminum bodied. These have an aluminum or a plastic ring, whereas these look like they have an aluminum ring, which is good or bad depending on your preference. Because we all know once you get a little bit of dirt in either one of these, they're not going to adjust like you want them to. Control arms, these guys are pretty beefy, pretty healthy. People say that this is the equivalent of a X-Max with a lowering kit and a flat low center of gravity chassis. Mine, as you can tell, I've gone to the Max 5, which is also on this channel, because my first ESC lasted... I ran it out in some snow and it kind of got into thermal protection and it never came back. So I just went with a Max 5 ESC because why not? It'll take the voltage and it'll put it out to the motor. And you guys, if you've seen the XRT video in the snow, you can tell that this truck is, that's the last time I ran it actually. I haven't ran it since then just because I haven't had time. And then the chassis on the XRT is plastic, which I don't know if that's an advantage over a disadvantage. Again, it's going to depend on how you run it and how you bash it. If you run it like Kevin Talbot does, it'll last you 5 minutes, but so would this. If you're going to take it out and run it on a track or a BMX track and do some really smooth jumps, landing, stuff like that, I don't really see the truck giving you too many issues. I mean, for a budget truck, this would be the way I'd go all day long, because you're going to get just as much enjoyment out of that as you would this. I think you're going to get less breakage out of this because it's a little bit smaller, lighter, and therefore it's, you know, not going to land as hard. This, when I land it, every single time I land it, it flops straight onto the skid plates. But it is a bigger, heavier truck, and with two 4S batteries in here, and I run two 9,000 milliamp batteries in this, it's going to hit hard. Circumference of the motor wise, this motor is far bigger. Obviously the ESC is, because I did that. This has got a pretty small motor in it. I think if I had one of these, I think I would throw a bigger can in here if you can bolt one in, which I'm sure you can. It's going to be just probably 2 screws to your motor. Again, on 4S, this truck is going to be perfect. I don't really think you need to change anything, guys. Tell me in the comments what you think. Would you be more inclined to get one of these guys for, we'll say, 4 and some change after tax, or would you, if you had the money, would you go in and get the Traxxas XRT for the 1,100 bucks, knowing that either one down the line, you're probably going to kill these ESCs, just because when we run our cars hard and run them out in the summertime, usually that's one of the first weak links that tend to go. And I don't know, if you bought one of these, what would be your first upgrades? And if you own one of these or bought one of these, what would be your first upgrade in this? Again, both being 17 millimeter, you could run these wheels and tires on this truck. And that would probably kill your ESC in this truck. So you definitely want to bump it up. But I don't know, just wanted to make a quick video for your guys' kind of viewing pleasure. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what would be your preference. Would you go with the we'll call it 8th plus scale Machete, or would you go with the 6th scale version of the XRT if money was no object? Or are you somebody that likes to go big and get the monstrous trucks and get them out there and run them out there on the BMX tracks and the motocross tracks and kind of see what you can do with them? All right, guys, other than that, this has been Crawler Space RC. You know, give us a like, subscribe, check us out on Facebook. You know, we're always posting videos on our Facebook page of new products that we get in, stuff that we buy for our customers, special orders, stuff that we carry in stock on a regular basis. And yeah, let us know what you guys think. Have a great afternoon. Take it easy.